I'm Shahar Azani, and welcome to this very special episode of Eye on Israel. Amid Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza, it seems Israel's battle for hearts and minds has never been fiercer. Antisemitism is on the rise, and anti-Israel protests have become a daily phenomenon on college campuses and so much beyond. Our special guest today on Eye on Israel has a unique perspective on what's happening in Israel and outside. He has just spoken at Columbia Law School in New York, and as you can imagine, was greeted with more than just flowers. Ben-Dror Yemini is an author, writer, and a leading political commentator who's also a renowned authority about the spread and impact of anti-Israel propaganda globally. He is the author of the wonderful book, Industry of Lies, published in 2014, a must-read for all who wishes to understand the kind of struggle Israel is facing in the international arena, not only in times of war. Ben-Dror, it's always a pleasure to have you back with us on JBS.
Thank you for having me. Just one correction, a very small one. The book in English was updated and it was published in 2017.
Oh, that's perfect. Good to know, and hopefully we'll see positive updates, but updates as much, because you've been dealing with this field for many years. And allow me to ask you the first question that comes to my mind. How do you see the difference in the anti-Israel sentiment from what you've seen in the past to what we've seen since October 7th?
Yeah, it's interesting because right now they became much more extremist. I mean, before it was against the occupation, against the settlements, not anymore. They do not care, not about occupations, they do not care about settlements, they do care about the very existence of Israel. They are totally against. I just followed a demonstration in the Brooklyn Museum a few days ago. Right. And they were shouting there against the very existence of Israel. We are against the two-state solution. So things are changing, and they are becoming much more Hamas. Before they were the PLO, right now they are Hamas.
And that's done unabashedly. If before that they were talking about the arguments like you say, now they have no qualms in speaking out against the very existence of Israel.
It's very interesting because many people think that it's against Israel. Yes, it is against Israel. Yes, it is against Jews. But it's in many cases, in most cases, it's actually against the United States itself. Because when I hear the shouting just now, I mean, I thought that it's unbelievable. Yemen, Yemen, make us proud, turn another ship around. What? What? I mean, you're supporting what? The Houthis, who killed something like hundreds of thousands of people in Yemen? You are supporting a kind of a proxy of Iran? You are totally against the United States. You are totally against the West. You are totally against Egypt, because Egypt is paying the price because of what the Houthis are doing. So yes, it's becoming totally extremist, totally anti-Western, anti-American, and of course also anti-Zionist and anti-Semitic.
But you're saying that we should pay attention to the positions as it reflects on the U.S. And I want to ask you in this regard, Chicago City Council passed a resolution, the pro-Hamas resolution for ceasefire at the end of January. So this is the establishment taking part in these positions. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's quite worrisome, because even some officials are becoming more and more extreme. We could hear Bernie Sanders speaking about ceasefire. By the way, I'm totally in favor of ceasefire. Today, yesterday, I mean, we are all supporting a ceasefire, but no more terror. One condition, put one condition. I'm asking Bernie Sanders, I'm asking all the others. I mean, what are you talking when you're speaking about ceasefire? If you mean to empower the Hamas, no, sorry. But if you're speaking about a ceasefire, that there will be no more terror, we are the first to jump on it. But when they're speaking about ceasefire from the point of view of the Hamas, we have a problem. We have a problem. The West has a problem.
How can anybody in your opinion, Hamas is a well-known entity and for decades has been exercising terror in Israel.
Look, there is a problem. we have to admit there is a problem. Yes, of course, the academia, they never actually told the real story of the Hamas. But what's the Hamas? What is the Hamas? What many people do not know. And I read so many academics, so many scholars writing articles about the Hamas without knowing what they are talking about.
Right.
Just an example. People said, well, you know, Hamas is ISIS. No, they are completely wrong. It's not Hamas, it's ISIS. It's ISIS that became Hamas, because Hamas much before, beginning the first video record that I have, speaking about conquering the whole world, it's from 2008. ISIS was founded much later. Now, it's not, of course, the only one.
Conquering the whole world, you said.
The whole world. Speaking about Andalusia, speaking about the two Americas, speaking about the Vatican. Yes, of course, it's something which, by the way, I showed in my lecture in Colombia and in other places. I was not only in Colombia.
Right.
And MIT, Harvard, and other places. I showed it, and people were like, how comes that we do not know what the Hamas is? Hamas is not speaking about Palestine. Now, I'm quoting one of the leaders of the Hamas. We are not speaking about Palestine. We are speaking about 512 million square kilometers of the world. That's what they're speaking. I'm quoting. It's not my interpretation. I'm just quoting, and I'm showing the videotapes of the leaders of the Hamas actually saying, we are coming to conquer the world. And we have to kill, listen carefully, we have to kill all the Jews and all the Christians. Not only the Jews. People are totally wrong. Not only the Jews. They're speaking about killing everybody.
They're speaking about, you were mentioning that you were on a tour speaking on different locations in the US. Share with us a little bit of the takeaway. What did you see on the ground? How did you feel?
First of all, to anybody who is listening now and needs a lecture, because I'm coming back in 2 weeks. I'm coming back in 2 weeks, and I have a list of lectures that I'm already invited if somebody wants.
Where can they find information?
They can find me because my email is published with my articles, generally speaking. They just put my name, and it's not so complicated to get to me. Okay. That's one. The main problem, when we are speaking about people who are not anti-Zionist, who are not anti-Israelis, they don't know, and it's so easy to brainwash them. It's so easy. I see students, and I speak with parents, and few times in the last 2 weeks that I was here, they told me, look, my daughter went to Cornell and she became a BDS supporter. My son went to high school in Brookline, near Boston.
Yeah.
And he became anti-Israeli. I mean, what? The atmosphere, the brainwashing machine. It's quite sad. Why? Because they do not know the facts. And they think that Israel occupied Palestine 100 years ago or something. No, Israel did not. Jews did not occupy anything. And so on. You know what? I'll tell you what I do. My first slide in my lecture, I show the picture of my grandparents. I mean, what they have to do with the whole story. I'm showing them, you see them? They came to Israel. To the land of Israel, not to Palestine. They never knew what is Palestine. They came to the land of Israel more than 100 years ago, after the First World War. And they came because Jews were persecuted in Yemen. Right. They left everything. They came with nothing, actually. They were refugees. Like so many other people who suffered from persecutions in Poland, in Russia, in Ukraine. And you call them, my grandparents, colonialists? Do you have an idea what you're talking about? We are speaking about people who escaped. We are speaking about the idea of self-determination. Zionism is anti-colonialism because Zionism was the way to solve the problem of Jews that were persecuted, and because so many other peoples received the right for self-determination, Jews also said, yes, we want it, we need it. We need it more than any other people. So the whole idea is anti-colonialist, because it was the whole idea of self-determination, which Zionism is part of it, is anti-colonialist. But what they are teaching here? not only in universities, also in high schools.
Right.
Zionism is colonialism.
Right, right. You know, it's a great opportunity you're here for our viewers to counter some of the things they're hearing out there. And one of those things was the accusation that Gaza was an open-air prison and Hamas breached the so-called blockade. How do you, Ben-Dror, react to these accusations?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question because many people, even pro-Israelis, believe that it was actually the situation. No, it's not. It's not. Actually, speaking from 2006 and on, the international community, Quartet, Russia, UN, US, and the EU, they offered the Palestinians once and again, no more blockade, no more siege. The only one condition that we have is no more terror,
right.
No more rockets. You know what? Once and again, and I'm showing it step by step, how it was actually rejected again and again by the Hamas. So what you are speaking about, Hamas preferred to continue with the industry of death and not with prosperity. Now, what prison? What prison? I mean, what we are talking about? Forget what I said now. What prison? I mean, they had milliards, they had billiards, but you see the infrastructure. What they build there is bigger than the subway of New York. I mean, hundreds of kilometers in the Gaza Strip. I mean, where did they take the money from? They had a problem of money? They had a problem of food? They have a problem of something? No. They just did one thing, building the industry of death. And this is, by the way, it's important to say, first of all, no, it's not Israel. Right. It was they preferred. That's what I'm telling people who really wonder and ask about the biggest prison, open-air prison, as you phrased it. It's even much more than that, actually. Hamas is part of the global jihad.
Right.
Hamas is ISIS, ISIS is Hamas. Now, the point is, wherever you have jihad, you have destruction and death. Nothing to do with the Israeli-Arab conflict. And people many times do not understand. I mean, go to Nigeria, go to all the Sahel countries. By the way,
I just want to make sure our viewers understand, this is one of your most sticking points that people miss, and that talking about the negative ramifications of jihad on a Muslim-on-Muslim level.
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I mean, the victims of the jihad are not Americans, are not Zionists, are not Jews, are not Israelis. Victims of jihad are mainly 95%, to be accurate. 95% are Muslims. So when I see the people here demonstrating, excuse me, who are you demonstrating for? For the oppressor. The oppressed people are the Muslims. Yes, unfortunately, many Muslims support the jihad. I know. But the victims are the Muslims. Now, you might ask, how comes that the Muslims support the jihad? How comes that the Muslims here support the Hamas? You know what? It's a school of mind. It's a school of thought. Something went wrong. I mean, when people, it's the same kind of logic of the people here in the streets. Not only Muslims, but also American. No. Yemen, make us pound, turn another ship around. I mean, people are becoming crazy because of, I don't know, there are some things that should be for maybe psychologists, not for me.
Right.
I mean, why you are supporting your enemies? Why you are supporting those who actually commit endlessly massacres against you? I mean, I asked, by the way, I was in the demonstration 3 days ago, and I asked some people, I mean, do you know that the Hamas, as part of the jihad, is the enemy of Muslims? Most of them have no idea what I'm talking about. Just as they don't know when they shout from the river to the sea, what river and what sea and where Israel is on the map. They have just no idea. Right. But we have here this kind of fashion
right, that's exactly what it
phenomena, which
right.
is
virtue
we
signaling.
are
virtue signaling.
Yeah. So a kind of we are with the oppressed against the oppressor, but the oppressor is the jihad. The oppressor is, they are the enemy. Iran and the axis of evil. They are the enemies.
You know what
Muslims.
amazes me, Ben-Dror? Whenever people call out the suffering in Gaza, you never see any condemnation of Hamas. Who brought that suffering in Gaza if not Hamas and Hamas's rule and Hamas's activities?
Hamas is part of the jihad.
Right.
We should bear it in mind. By the way, where are they operating, for example, in Nigeria, in the districts where they have already the Sharia law? What do you have against Muslims? Why do you kill them? And you will not find a rational answer. You will not find, because they are killing, as I said, 95% of the fatalities, of the victims are Muslims.
You have a very good ear into the ground of Israeli politics and society. Now we are hearing a resurgence of the two-state solution, of the ability of Israelis and Palestinians to live side by side. Forget about the government for a minute. Where do you see Israelis on this issue? And where do you see this issue in general of the two-state solution?
I'll tell you something. This is a legitimate debate. Some Israelis think, yes, we need the two-state solution. Some Israelis, after what happened in October 7th, say, no way that we will accept a Palestinian state, because we do not want it to happen again from something like 10 kilometers from Tel Aviv. No, we do not want. But we have to distinguish, and this is the most important thing, between the political solution vis-à-vis the Palestinians and the propaganda, which is based only on lies. So to have one opinion about the two-state solution or another opinion against the two-state solution, it's legitimate. It is legitimate. It's not part of the industry of lies. So I have my own way. I don't speak about internal issues when I'm outside of Israel. There are many debates. I want to concentrate only in the debate which is not legitimate.
Right.
That's what I'm doing. But to tell you what my opinion is, whoever wants to know what my opinion about the two-state or not two-state, I have many articles, most of them
in English?
Of course, most of them are translated to English or published in English in the first place. But it's not my issue. It's not the story. The story is not two states or not two states. The main story, the real story, is those who delegitimize the right of Israel to exist.
But there is also a huge lack of understanding, like you said. Nobody speaks in those terms, Ben-Dror, of understanding that Hamas is global jihad and that jihad hurts Muslims 95% and Muslim populations support Hamas. How do we change this? What do you recommend our viewers to do to take that precious gem they got from you today and share it? What can we do?
It's very interesting because many times the elites lead. Okay,
right.
And many times when you see the elites in the West, not only in the United States, but generally speaking, you see intellectuals, philosophers, and so on, when they support the jihad, and they do support the jihad, and when they are totally against Israel, and they keep on with the cliches of Israel is an apartheid state, and Israel is a colonialist state, colonial settler apartheid state,
right.
This kind of. They just help the jihad. What do you want from the Muslim intellectuals? To say no, we are supporting Zionism when Noam Chomsky and others are saying that the problem is Israel, when Bernie Sanders is saying the problem is Israel? How can they say? So we have a problem with the West, with the intellectuals, with the scholars. We have a problem. Enough! Don't you understand that what you are doing is against Muslims? What you are doing is in favor of the oppressors? And it's not changing. So how can you ask me why the Muslims are not? They will not, because speaking about the elites, an intellectual in Egypt or in Jordan or in many other places, when he hears Bernie Sanders or Norman Finkelstein or Chomsky and others, what will he say?
Right.
What will he say?
So why do they take these positions? Let's take Bernie Sanders, for instance. Is it ignorance? Is it anti-Semitism? Is it deep anti-Israel sentiment that obscures everything else from sight? I mean, what's wrong, Ben-Dror?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I have to admit that many times I'm looking at these people and what they're saying,
right,
and how they actually inflate the demonization. And for example, Bernie Sanders, who said in the last conflict, "Oh, Israel killed 10,000 innocent civilians."
Right.
No, Israel never killed 10,000, much less. And when I see that they quote the numbers of the Hamas, health minister of the Hamas is saying that I mean, it was already refuted.
Right.
To those of you who want to know where it was refuted, just one example, there will be more in the near future, I know, because I'm part of it. Washington Institute, a reliable research institute, totally refuted the numbers that the Hamas is publishing. But they keep on. But why they're doing it? That's what you are asking me,
yes,
actually. Why they're doing it?
Willful ignorance, malicious ignorance.
It's a phenomena of herd. In Hebrew we say tofa'at ha'eder.
The herd mentality.
The herd mentality. I mean, all the people around them, if they are liberals, progressive, needless to say,
contagious stupidity.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone around us is saying it. So we have to say it because we think, we pretend that we are in favor of the oppressed people. No, you are not. You are actually helping and promoting only the jihad. But generally speaking, yes, I mean, this is the way they think. I mean, Edward Said and Rashid Khalidi and so many other professors here in the United States that created a huge lie. Israel is a colonialist state. Arabs, Palestinians are the victims.
But those lies poison our public sphere. Lies like colonialism that you just refuted. Lies like genocide. You know, every politician, Nancy Pelosi was just at an event.
I'll give you.
Why do you tell those people?
First of all, the numbers of the Hamas are a huge manipulation.
Right.
I'm sorry that the Israeli IDF did not publish the real numbers, but I guess they will publish quite soon. That's one. Second, you know how many people were massacred by the global jihad since 9/11 until now? Speaking
9/11.
not about wars. I'm not speaking about wars. I'm speaking only about terror. And we are speaking about 155,000, 95%, as I said, are Muslims. We are speaking almost about 300,000, maybe. I mean, my numbers are updated until the end of 2023, but probably it's much more right now. So why don't you demonstrate about them? I'm not even speaking about the renewed genocide in Darfur, which is taking place now.
Right.
I'm not speaking about so many other places, so many. In Congo, a tragedy. In Chad, in Mali, in all the Sahel countries. Where are you? Why don't anybody demonstrate for them against the mass killing of the jihad?
Right.
Nothing. Did you hear about any demonstration in one of the universities? No.
Nothing.
No, only against Israel.
Genocide.
Only against Israel, that Israel actually in the front of the free world,
right,
defending the free world against the jihad. So, yes, we have a problem.
And how do we, in your opinion, can make our leaders change or at least gain access to that information? Will they listen to you, Ben-Dror? If you reach out on your next trip to Bernie Sanders' office and said, I want to come to brief you, are they willing to listen?
Yeah, listen. It's not everybody. There are many decent
right,
and knowledgeable
right,
politicians and scholars around here. And I have to say that even my book in the last 3-4 months was a kind of a bestseller because people wanted to know.
Right.
Surprise. I mean,
but are they're going to find warning? You're going to find facts in that book.
Yeah, the book is made million. Not
right,
not terrorism. facts.
Right.
So there are many decent people around here who wants to know, who wants to hear. So I'm not giving up. I'm not saying that everyone is lying. No, it's not the case. It's not the story. So we have decent articles in many newspapers around here. We have TV presenters that are much more balanced.
Aligned with the truth.
Yeah. And
we had some positive cases of leaders who came out in support of Israel.
Not enough. I don't want it to be here a political debate. I don't want it to be partisan. I don't want it.
Right.
I want Democrats and I want Republicans to understand that we have something in common. 4 months ago, just a few weeks before October 7, I was in the Senate, and we had a meeting, a kind of delegation from Arab countries, Abraham Accords, by a group called Sharaka.
Right.
And you know what? Republicans and Democrats came. We were expected to have something like 6 or 5, and we had something like between 15 and 20. Surprise. So they know to unite when they know that they have something in common. It should not be a debate here in the United States.
Correct.
It should not.
And it's also not just, like you say so wisely, it's not just about Israel and Hamas. It's the free world against global jihad. That's what it is.
We have to say something like 100 times in order that people will begin, because they are actually operating a huge brainwash machine. So I don't want to brainwash anybody. I just want to tell people the real facts. Yes, it's a war against freedom. It's a war against Muslims. They are the oppressors. Yes, and we have to say it again and again.
When you convey that information to audiences who were not familiar with those facts, what kind of reactions do you get? Pushback? Do they blame you that you're a propagandist for the Zionists?
First of all, here and there, yes. I'm used to it, and what I used to say always, you know what? I'm telling you that your scholars, your professors manipulate you. Do me a favor, and don't take me for granted. Don't take me for granted. Maybe I manipulate you. So I'm going to do something. Here is a paper. I gave them only the link.
Right.
Whatever I said about the videotapes of the Hamas, leaders of the Hamas saying we have to conquer the world,
From
whatever
2008.
I say,
Yep.
whatever I'm saying, you can find there with the links, not only me saying, check me. Please, do me a favor. Check me. If I misled you, don't pay me. Don't ask me to come again. Publish articles against me. Whatever you want to do against me. Nobody until today managed to contradict what I'm saying. Because I'm dealing with facts and not with politics. I'm not against Muslims. I am in favor of Muslims. And you, the anti-Zionists, you are the enemies of the Muslims.
Right. You know, Ben-Dror, even in these stormy days, you are a breath of fresh air. I'm happy to hear that you came and you share that truth, and I'm even more thrilled to hear that you'll be coming here soon to do more of that important work. It's super important to remind and remember all of the important topics that you're mentioning. Again, just for the sake of our viewers, if anybody wants to know where you're going, can you share with us some of these locations that you're going to visit, or find it on your website?
I'll tell you, it's so complicated to organize such a tour. Right. But I'm going to be with a Jewish community in Philadelphia, with a Jewish community in Queens. I'm going to be probably in Hunter College in some places. I'm going to be probably in NYU, that I was not. I mean, in some places, but I mean, I have my own work, and my agency do the other work of organizing things. But if people will contact me, which is not so complicated, I will be happy to inform.
Always a pleasure, Ben-Dror, sharing with us your perspective, your outlook on these historic developments as we're all witnessing around us today. You've helped clear some of the haze, and we will absolutely follow what you have to say as things move forward. It's always a joy to have you. And to all of you, our viewers, we will continue to keep you updated, especially during these important times. And as always, it's important to remember and remind exactly what Ben-Dror said today. It's not just about Israel and Hamas. It's a battle taking place now that has great moral and strategic meanings for the free world and the world entire. Remember, Hamas is global jihad. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time as we cast another fascinating eye on Israel.